Just feel as though they will not let this woman escape this man, even in death, and it's sickening. If you don't know who this is Jennifer Sheffield. Jennifer got on TikTok and made a video talking about how her and her husband were in the process of divorce, and she was essentially going on to talk about how amazing he was being during the whole thing, and how everything was going smooth, and they were remaining cordial, and they were just going to divorce amicably. And she really did, in that video, sing his praises, talking about how amazing he was being during the divorce. And then her soon-to-be ex-husband proceeded to take her life not too long after she made that TikTok video. So not only was she attempting to leave a marriage that, in my opinion, was very tumultuous and obviously dangerous if she ultimately lost her life at the hands of this man. Not only did she attempt to remain cordial and even continue to speak highly of him in public settings, and not only did that do her no good, and she did ultimately end up losing her life, but then to add insult to injury, when you go to the Facebook pages of some of his family members, you see that they are apparently giving them joint funerals. Joint funerals. And it's like, hey, I can't tell anybody how to grieve, right? But in what world do you think this woman would want to have the final celebration that she will ever have in her entire life, right, be celebrated alongside the man that caused her to not be able to have any more celebrations in life? Like, I couldn't imagine my child being unalived and then the person that unalived them unaliving themselves as well, and me being like, you know what? I think we should bury them together. I think we should have joint services. I just couldn't imagine that. The only rational explanation that I could possibly come up with in my mind was that hopefully they were doing it like for the sake of the children, because very clearly the children are not going to immediately process all that is going on. So instead of them having to go to two separate funerals, let's just do it all in one big shebang. But it just kind of breaks my heart for her, because it just seems as though she was attempting to escape. She was attempting to remain positive, which is why she was asking for advice on like what it's like to be a single mom, because she was going to be a newly single mother. She was just talking about how she was just, kind of excited to get a fresh start in life. And then like she had the man that she was trying to leave kill her. And now after her attempt to escape fails, she doesn't even get to have her own celebration of life. Like, it's almost as if he was able to succeed exactly what he wanted. You don't get to leave me. Even after death, even at your funeral, I'm gonna be there. And it's sick. And I am so sorry, but I have actually had my fill of some of the social media posts that I am seeing be made about him by like his friends or his family, because it's like, read the room. Like, I actually don't care if you went to high school with him, if you can't believe that he would do something like this. You haven't known the man since he was 16, 17. You don't know that man at all. I actually don't care if you worked with him every week. Y'all don't know each other past clocking in and clocking out. And it's just like, I'm having an easier time finding posts of people giving condolences to him or talking about how they can't believe he would do something like this than I am being able to find posts saying rest in peace to the poor woman who lost her life, or I'm so sorry to the children who had both of their parents snatched away from them senselessly. And then not only did they have both their parents snatched away from them senselessly, but it was at the hands of their own father. I'm having a hard time finding those posts. I mean, I've seen a couple, but the ones of people, hold on. Like this post is very difficult to follow through. I've known both of them for a very long time, and they were two of the most fun, loving, energetic people to hang with. They love their friends and those babies so much. Prayers to the families and the girls. Rest in peace and fly high. Brandon, Sheffield, and Jennifer. Of course, he goes first. This one hits home a little too hard. Never assume you know the demons everyone is battling inside. He wasn't battling demons. He is the demon. And obviously, he didn't love those babies very much because he took away their father and their mother. People who love their children don't purposely choose to leave their children orphans due to their own petty feelings and emotions. Because at the end of the day, being upset over you and your wife divorcing is a petty emotion. Like, it is like a hard thing. It is heartbreaking to experience, but it is not worth people losing their lives over. People get divorced every single day. People move on, find new loves, get remarried. Thought process of, if I can't have you, no one else will. If you're going to leave me, I'll just take out the both of us, was very clearly more important than the supposed love he had for the children who are now left with nothing. Or like this comment, I understand the frustration. Allow me to share a story about Brandon Sheffield. He and my husband were in MMA and were each other's cornermen and trained together. My husband took a kick to the abdomen from Brandon while they were training. Long story short, it ended my husband's future or any chance at it as his colon had ruptured and he had emergency surgery. Now, during all this, Brandon never left my side. He waited through the surgery, and when he took my husband's truck home, he found my birthday present in his truck and brought it to the hospital room. He wanted to make sure I got what my hubby bought me. He stayed in the room with me and we took turns tending to him. A few months later, Brandon wanted him to go to New Orleans with him, but his surgical wound had been left open to heal and he had a colostomy bag. I was afraid for him to go due to me having to pack his wound and change his dressings. Brandon asked me if I thought him and he promised to care for him. Oh, of course you can't write a coherent thought out. Brandon asked me if I thought him and promised to care if he promised to care for him, could he go. He came over and I taught him and off they went. He even called me with each dressing change and let me know all was okay. They were best buddies and Brandon was a gift. I know he loved Jennifer and nobody knows what happened. I was a little taken back by the shared ceremony. That was your common sense taking in. That was your instincts trying to take over, right? I was a little taken back by the shared ceremony of their funeral service, but I have been praying for them both and God showed me a different understanding. These two, no matter what, would want those babies to see unity and love in the face of trauma and chaos. They live together, and no matter what the how it happened, the families are uniting to get through this. I think in light of them dying tragically, it would be a loss not to keep them united. It's easier for me to understand than explain, but I think the families are celebrating the life they had together in the purest form of forgiveness. We all grieve differently, but those two were loved, and I think focusing on forgiveness and the celebration of their life is much healthier. I hope this helps. We all have demons and or skeletons in our closet no matter what. We are all God's children, and forgiveness is key. My husband and I immediately forgave Brandon, and we never regretted it. How easy it must be for you to forgive him when you're still living and breathing and able to be here for your children if you have any. That's real. It's real convenient. Like somebody punching you in the face and me looking at the person who punched you and me being like, oh, I forgive you. It's fine. What? The only person that could forgive him is the person whose life he took. And she unfortunately is not here to do that. So, and it's like, are we not stopping to think that maybe this family and this friend group's very clear inability to acknowledge, or just plain unwillingness to acknowledge the very clearly wrong things that are happening in front of them, their very clear inability or unwillingness to be honest about the very wrong things that are happening right in front of them, do you think that maybe could have possibly played a part in things being able to go as far as they did? Like, this is making it hard for, like, regardless of how nice you want, like, how much you want to talk about how amazing he was because he brought a birthday present to the hospital, right? This isn't doing anything but leading me to believe that maybe there were some red flags that showed and y'all just prayed about it all the time. Gave it to God, gave it to God, gave it to God, until she got gave to God. Like, I know religious, like people who are super, super, super religious like to believe that free will is just inherently a bad thing, right? And while your free will can lead you into temptation, it also gives you the capability of taking things into your own hands when necessary. Sometimes you don't need to give it to God. Sometimes you need to give it to the authorities. Sometimes you need to give it to, I don't know, a professional psychologist, therapist. Sometimes you actually need to give things some real critical thought. You actually don't need to just pray about it and then move on as if nothing's happening. No matter how much good somebody does, that actually doesn't cancel out the bad things that they have done. You don't get to just tally up all your good deeds through life and be like, all right, I think I've finally saved up enough good deeds to justify a murder. I would be so heartbroken if I was Jennifer. I am so heartbroken for Jennifer. You know, maybe they are doing the joint funerals so the kids don't have to go to multiple funerals. I really do hope it's for the sake of the kids at least. But you still need to be honest with those children about what their father did. You don't need to justify it or sugarcoat it or try to polish it up with the gospel. You need to make sure that they know that that is wrong. Else I am highly concerned for the type of men those little girls will grow up and get with one day. He wasn't a poor, helpless soul that fell victim to his demons. He was a grown man that made a choice.